Hi, I'm Shannon Gavin Johnson, the Director of Legacy Museum on Main, and this is a brief moment in LaGrange's history. One of the best resources for historians to use are local newspapers. This is certainly true for LaGrange, and the staff of Troup County Archives consults back issues of local newspapers on a daily basis. The first newspaper in Troup County was the Georgia Jeffersonian, first published September 4th, 1839 in West Point. Few issues survive and are found in the collections of the Library of Congress and the University of Georgia. In LaGrange, the first paper was the Lagrange Herald, which appeared on September 7, 1843. Through title changes and a legion of editors, this paper has survived into the present as the LaGrange Daily News. The first editor, however, was Dr. P.S. Bronson, and it was printed by his partner, B.E. Benton. An announcement in the first edition states that it will advocate the leading principles of the Whig Party, will lend its aid to the establishment of the United States Bank, and will support a tariff for revenue sufficient to defray the expenses of an economical administration of the general government. It also notes that it supports Henry Clay for president. This paper was published weekly on Thursday mornings and only lasted 2 years in this form. From those first years, only 3 papers have survived. This paper was renamed the Chattahoochee at a later date, though no copies of that one have survived. The Herald eventually evolved into the LaGrange Reporter. The first surviving edition of that paper is from January 1, 1857. After 13 years, the paper was still being published weekly on Thursdays. Around this time, the paper also had 2 prominent editors, Judge Alexander M. Spear and Thomas J. Bacon. A prominent local lawyer, Bacon also served as mayor of LaGrange and served as an editor until the beginning of the Civil War, when he volunteered to serve the Confederacy. He was captain of the 27th Georgia Volunteer Infantry and became the first citizen of LaGrange, killed in action when he was struck down during the Battle of Seven Pines on May 31, 1862. Throughout the war and into the Reconstruction era, C.H.C. Willingham edited the paper and was described as an able and fearless writer. Towards the end of the 19th century, the Reverend S. Pope Calloway became a noted and beloved editor. After his death, his wife took over managing the paper and passed it to his son, James Pope Calloway, who began to publish the paper daily. As the LaGrange Reporter continued publication, 2 more papers appeared. The LaGrange Graphic started publication here on January 7, 1888, and ran for nearly 40 years. The Shuttle was opened to provide news to the local textile plants in 1919. Interestingly, this small paper was completely managed by women. Mrs. Ethel Thomas started the paper and was known for writing a column under the pen name of Aunt Becky. She was succeeded by Mrs. C.J. Lewis and later by Eleanor Orr. These 3 papers, the Reporter, the Graphic, and the Shuttle, all merged in 1928 to create the LaGrange News and Graphic Shuttle, which eventually changed its name to a shorter LaGrange Daily News. For many years, the paper was published out of offices on Broome Street behind the McClellan and Crest buildings. In 1958, owner Roy Swank purchased and renovated the 1892 Troup County Jail building for use as a newspaper office. The offices moved again in 1974, selecting an old bowling alley building on Ashton Street. The current offices have once again changed and have relocated just this year to the old Coca-Cola building on Broad Street. The LaGrange Daily News is currently owned by Boone Newspaper Incorporated, which owns and operates 74 daily newspapers across the country, and is edited by Daniel Evans. In its collections, the archives has back issues of the newspapers preserved in various forms. Most papers are available on microfilm from 1868 until the early 2000s. In addition to some bound copies, digital images of the papers are also available up to the present day. To learn more about newspaper history in LaGrange, or perhaps to use those newspapers as a resource, visit Legacy Museum on Main. This has been a brief moment in LaGrange's history.